Hey YouTube, welcome back to the Crosstalk Podcast. Today we have Peter Lloyd discussing do women turn men off of marriage. In this video, we'll be able to discuss certain things such as 1. The legal ramifications that come when you go up and you take those vows. 2. We'll also be able to observe the kind of tactics that people use to try to pivot a conversation forward to attack the certain points you may be making, right, that they believe might be weak in order to dismantle your larger idea before you can construct it. And 3, we'll also be able to discuss the importance of being responsible and keeping your mind sharp on the things that motivate you and push you forward, and always being able to articulate it for the greater good in this case. So, y'all do that YouTube stuff, and without any delay, I'm gonna get this started.
Obviously, we were just talking earlier about marriage and who recently has got married, and actually I think marriage is actually the statistics of marriage have halved, I think. Yeah. Do you think marriage is irrelevant? Is this why why aren't men getting married?
Well, I wouldn't say marriage is irrelevant today. Okay, I'm sorry for pausing that. But they just say the legal standings behind the process is not the same as it once was from before. So
the bottom line is it's a raw deal. For men, it's a really raw deal. The benefits are heavily outweighed by the dangers and the risks. If you're a man and you divorce, the outcome usually favors women massively. You can end up losing your home, half of your pension, half of your wealth. You can end up not seeing your children. And studies have shown that men are more adversely mentally affected by divorce than women. So, and there's also a lot less support network in place.
You also said...
So, you gauge everything he just said. Once you're happily married, everything normally goes great for the guy. But once the marriage comes to an end, most men get the boot. And what a lot of women don't tend to recognize is that when you're a young man or even an elder man looking at the men around you suffering for getting into a marriage and then going to plan, and they end up suffering in the end, you of yourself tell yourself, not me. Whether it was right or wrong, or whether every situation is different, what most people tend to take away from that situation is, I don't want to be that guy. On top of that, when you end up watching most men get what they worked most of their life to possess taken away, and on top of that, their children taken away. Men think very mathematically, and a lot of statistics run through our head. We try to run the numbers, and if we see that these type of decisions could have this large, let's just say, slap in the face that comes down at the end, most men tend to gamble when it comes to those things, right? Now, you may agree or disagree, but to understand that most men, when they watch that and put that on their own values and stuff, they tend to have a mindset that says, not me. And will try to live their life in another type of way. So, let's go.
That if a woman gets pregnant for a career choice, and I think that you have used the words that women do get pregnant for career choice.
Okay. Note what is also happening here in this moment. They first started the interview talking about marriage. Now they're talking about getting pregnant for a career choice, because when he articulated his issue with the marriage, they had nothing to say on that. Nothing. And this is something that people would do when you're having a conversation with them and you bring it up. The first point that's going to be the weight for your other points. Right? They're going to try to ignore the weight of the first point. They just brush past it like it never happened. And now they're going to try to attack another point he's making as if the first point didn't exist. So let's continue.
That's what they want to do. That if you were the guy and that you didn't approve or you didn't okay that pregnancy, then you, and you use a term I didn't like it actually when I read it. It was like financial abortion, I think you said. I didn't like.
See, so what he's portraying that he's doing right now is that he went against the one thing he know for sure he didn't like, and the most controversial one, saying that if you didn't want a child, you can have a financial abortion. That there would gather the most attention. Like, oh, dare you say certain things. Now, let's watch and see where this goes.
But what that means is that you can say, right, okay, I had nothing to do with this. I didn't ask for it. You've surprised me with it. Therefore, I've got nothing to do with it. I won't support it.
Well, what I was really saying is I was mooting that as like a hypothetical point to illustrate the fact that when it comes to power, although the illusion is men have all the power, actually when it comes to kind of personal relationships and relationships between the sexes, women have.
I don't know if y'all saw that. So when he tried to explain that in these circumstances is that the woman has power, watch how the woman reacts. Okay, so watch again.
Illustrate the fact that when it comes to power, although the illusion is that men have all the power, actually when it comes to kind of personal relationships and relationships between.
She got a little tense up in his shoulders because how dare you say women have the power? How dare you say men don't have the power? Because this is a narrative that they've had in their head since they know themselves that they as a woman has no power and men have all the power, and it's the whole patriarchy and I have to fight it. So when you come and you tell a woman, no, you actually have the power, they have this moment where they get tense as you're seeing here with her. So
Sexes, women have most of the power.
Well, that's true as well, but obviously babies are made by two.
okay, and let's address on the first point he was making as well, right? Which was that, let's catch myself, right? That there are women who get pregnant, or at least try to get pregnant, for the benefits that come with having a particular man's child. And with you, and if you stick with the theme of what the interview is about, is if you know there are women like that out there, you tend to move differently because you not want that outcome. So his interview is about being mindful of what is out there and decided how you want, if you want those things out there, how you want it, and then for progressing forward in a more respectful way, because you know these things exist. He's not bad talking what exists, but he's acknowledging what exists. And she's going to go on something about men could be more responsible, and that is the whole premise of what he's discussing.
People, so shouldn't men just use contraception?
Just man up. Well, unfortunately, women have the lion's share of contraceptive choices, and once a woman is pregnant, of course, the man has no say, and yet the consequences for his life are lifelong and huge. They have a huge impact.
That's true, but
Right. So the point he's trying to bring across is that once this thing happens, men no longer have a say, and they like to say, well, you can just use rubbers, and which is true, and you can use it, but no one does women this when a woman gets knocked up. All right, everybody is there like, come on, I'm there for you, but on the man, well, that way it gets, and it's the little contradictions that we just look at and we get laughed at. Also, you have to think about the situation we saw men have power in reverse. If I want to if I got a woman pregnant and I wanted to keep the child and she said no, then I cannot have a child on the way tomorrow. That child could be not you, and I have no say about it, right? She can only see the point of views from, well, if the man don't want it and she wants it, he should have just do better. But if you want the child, right? If you want the child, you don't believe in trying to, you still have no say. And the premise of what he's arguing is that men have no say, and in this world where you have no say in certain things, it's better you move in a more respectful and mindful way when it comes to your mind, body, and soul, so you do not have too much entanglements in certain things, and where you have to be hit with the rod of life in a nutshell.
if you're taking precautions in the first place, don't have a baby. So don't men have to just use their brains rather than what's in their pants?
Absolutely. And look, don't get me wrong, there are plenty of reckless men.
And it's always funny to watch this woman them who be first to tell a man to be careful with using anything in his pants, but yet still cuddle a woman who recklessly uses the things in his. Hypocrisy? You tell me.
And plenty of responsible women out there. And of course, not all women get pregnant as a career choice. That was a sample of a study that I was quoting. But You know, there are instances, like look at Liz Jones at the Daily Mail. She famously stole the sperm from her husband's condom. She violated his choice about fatherhood, and that could have changed his life forever.
Have you been hurt?
Okay, so so he brought up a good point that as a man, you could even be unwittingly made a father, even though you moved as responsible as you could, right? And when they're presented with this level of logic and showing the actual situation that actually happens in the real world, instead of addressing it and moving forward in the conversation, they're going to use smear tactics to try to go at him personally. But watch how he brushes it off.
No, I'm not. What is it? What started this off? Is this a big revenge trip?
No, not at all.
Two different kind of ways to try to go at him personally, to try to take away the sting of his words, where he's trying to show what really happens out there in the real world, and they're just brushing past it. So watch how he more or less checks them on it and shows his level way of thinking.
This is just about me being a young man in the modern world. After 50 years of feminism, I am one of the products of that. And, you know, I have 3 wonderful sisters who I love, and my mother, I have a great relationship. My parents are still together. So the personal experience of marriage, you know, is wonderful. But for me, as a young man entering into that, politically, it's just not viable.
So you would never get married?
No. Well, I would do if the laws changed. If I was protected in equal measure to, you know, like perhaps the woman I'd marry, then I would consider it. But at the moment, I mean, let's be honest, marriage is a contract. It's a business deal. And I wouldn't enter into any contract without reading the terms and conditions and being aware of the risks.
Okay, so you see how he brought that across, and that's on the last point I was trying to raise with you, being able to articulate the way you think, especially when you're going to be in public settings, or at least be expressing your views outside of yourself to another person. When you show people that yes, these are my thoughts, but it's also backed up by all of this, they tend to not pressure as much because they understand that this is not just an idle thought. When people believe it's just an idle thought, they come after you more ruthless. When they understand that you are a thinker and you can present yourself and make valid arguments, and even if you could pause and be a good listener sometimes, it shows people that maybe there's some validity to what you're saying. So that's today's videos. For now, I just wanted to show you all these little things. We're gonna have some more videos coming. We'll be able to get a little more in depth, and we'll be a little more comfortable on camera. But for now, we're gonna work our way to 50 subscribers, so I hope you all help me with that. Alright, and we hit the crosstalk down in the comment section. So peace out.